Hi everyone, welcome to today's edition of the Oldish TV. Now, are you one of those people that thinks that because it's winter, the bugs are dead, or at least hibernating? Maybe the 4, 8, 16-legged ones are, but the superbugs are not. And that's what we're going to talk about today. In addition, we're going to take a look at the vaccinations that you may want to get if you're over 65. Now, if you don't like vaccinations, it's fine. For those of you who do want to know what vaccines you should be discussing with your doctor, we're going to talk about them. First though, let's talk about those superbugs. An expert panel has produced an article called When Antibiotics Fail, the Growing Cost of Antimicrobial Resistance in Canada. They are saying that the percentage of bacterial infections that are resistant to treatment, which in 2018 were 26%, that's a lot, a quarter of all infections resistant to treatment, but it's going to grow, it's going to get worse to 40% by 2050. That's huge. That is absolutely huge. And we need to take steps to protect ourselves as individuals. So, I mean, it may seem like a simple thing, but wash your hands. Number one, wash your hands. Do you know the right way to wash your hands? For those of you who said, sing happy birthday twice, while your hands are engaged with the soap and the water, you're correct. That's what you have to do. So washing your hands is the number one thing. Aside from that, when you're out and about, when you're in the grocery store and touching grocery carts or cans of things or money, or you're walking in a mall and you're touching handrails, or you get on the escalator and you grab the handrail. Of course you want to grab the handrail so you don't fall, but after you've done any of that, after you have touched anything, wash your hands. But do not, in the interim, touch your eyes, your nose, your mouth, your ears, any open wound that you may have. Don't touch them. And there are some of you out there who are going to be saying back to this broadcast, it's okay, I wear gloves, I wear mittens. How often do you wash those gloves and mittens? If you're like me, it's not something you think about. But all of this bacteria lives on your gloves and your mittens. And then with your mittens or your gloves, you know, you're touching something, you're scratching, you're brushing away a hair, you're adjusting your glasses. These bacteria are touching all of that stuff right along with you. So you might think the next time you're doing laundry, you should toss in those gloves, toss in those mittens. Just saying. Okay, now then, the antibacterial soaps that are out there, you might want to Google that on the internet the next time you're there, because it turns out plain old soap and water, not necessarily the antibacterial kind, is what you want to do. The antibacterial kind is not killing the things that are resistant to antibacterial treatments. Okay? That is something you probably need to pay a little bit more attention to. Incidentally, if you go to the hospital to visit somebody, visit a relative, visit a friend, don't touch the privacy curtains. No. We published an article about that on the oldish.com a short while ago, and I think we may have talked about it on a previous edition of the Oldish TV. But the University of Michigan Medical Center did a study on hospital curtains. Yes, they did. Privacy curtains in 625 rooms across 6 different facilities in their catchment area, and guess what they found? None of them were 100% clean. They had from 11.9% to 28.5% bacteria on them. Okay, so any given curtain might have had 28.5% bacteria on the curtain, and you're touching it. So don't pull the privacy curtain and then give the person you're visiting a great big old hug. or touch your eye or your mouth or anything like that. Go wash your hands. Go wash your hands. Go wash your hands. Very important. Who would have thought? You would think that hospitals would be washing their privacy curtains and not having those levels of bacteria on them. Not the case. Not the case at all. So with winter upon us, don't think that those little bugs are dead. Wash your hands. Super important. Now then, with winter upon us, so is flu season. I'm getting my flu shot 2 more days. In 2 days' time, I am getting my flu vaccine. I choose to have it. Some of you choose not to have it, and that's a personal choice. Not telling you you should or shouldn't. I'm telling you that I do. I choose to get it not only to protect myself, but to protect the people I come in contact with. As you might imagine, I come into contact with a lot of older adults, some of them quite vulnerable, and I don't want to bring any of that to them. Occasionally, I also see little babies, and I don't want to bring it to them either. So I am choosing to get my flu vaccine this year. Now, I know that you will read in some reports that the flu vaccine is X effective. Different years, it's never 100%. It's 60%, it's 40%, it's whatever it is. But I would rather have 40 or 60 or 80% of a loaf of bread than no bread at all. So I am choosing for myself to get the flu vaccine. Later this month, I am also going to turn 65. And so I have had discussions with my doctor about the kinds of things that when I turn 65, I need to think about. And it sounds like I'm going to be a pincushion for a day or two. Anyway, one of the things that I am going to have to get is the pneumococcal vaccine. Older adults are more likely to develop complications such as pneumonia, blood infections, and meningitis from pneumococcal bacteria. That is what the studies say. And pneumococcal disease kills about 18,000 adults 65 and older each year. Now, you may not think that's a big number. It's a big number if you're one of them. And I don't want to be one of them. I've had walking pneumonia before. I don't want to get full-blown pneumonia, so I'm going to get that vaccine. The shingles vaccine is another thing I am going to get. I did have chickenpox when I was a child. Those of you who know anything about chickenpox and shingles know that that virus continues to live in your system, and it may trigger, and I could end up with shingles. Anybody can. So I am definitely getting the shingles vaccine. There is a new vaccine that is now available. It's called Shingrix, and it is better than the previous one, which was Zostavax. So when you're talking to your doctor, you want to maybe talk about Shingrix and the benefits of one over the other. According to the Centers for Disease Control, getting 2 doses of Shingrix spaced 2 to 6 months apart is 90% effective at preventing shingles. I'm going to prevent that puppy for sure. And in Canada, once you turn 65, it is paid for by our healthcare plan, not out of pocket. So I'm going to do it for sure. Now, if you didn't have the tetanus, diphtheria, and pertussis booster as a child, you need to get that as well. I believe it was invented a couple of years after I was born. So I'm not sure that I actually got that, but I'm going to discuss that with my doctor as well. So there you go. Those are the vaccines that you need. And that is your primer on the superbugs and why you should wash your hands. Wash your hands, wash your hands. It cannot be said enough. You need to protect yourself against everything that is out there. Colds, flu, any kind of bacteria. You can start by self-advocating and washing your hands. So there you go, folks. There's your cautionary tale for today. As always, I will invite you back to next week's edition of the Oldish TV. We are always on Wednesday at 12 noon. on facebook.com/The Oldish. Until I see you next week, please do remember that it takes a village to age a senior.